everybody. Welcome to Rock and Roll Confessional.
I'm Rita Wild.
I am CW West, and we thank you for tuning in again. Welcome back. And for those of you just joining us for the first time, welcome. We hope you enjoy the podcast. A little bit of business to start off with. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, which is basically the same thing, they've just kind of created a bigger mess out of it. But anyway, we ask that you please subscribe to us, rate us, and of course, write a review. Every review helps us move up to the top of the rock podcast charts. I don't know if there is a rock podcast charts, but it helps us move up in general.
They watch it.
Somebody's watching.
Yeah.
Someone's always watching us.
Algorithms. Somebody watches your every move.
And if you really love us, please go to Patreon and pledge as little as $1 a month. That's like giving up one candy bar a month. So easy. And you'll also lose weight thanks to us because we're taking your $1. Or, of course, you can give us more than $1 if you like. We would be very thankful for at least $1 a month. Your pledge will help us stay alive, and it allows us to keep bringing these fantastic shows to you. You can also go to our support tab on our website, and you'll find a link to Patreon.
We want to thank our latest Patreon supporters, Jade Zudan.
Thanks, Jay.
Roger Cunningham.
Thanks, Raj.
Somebody called RR.
Thanks, RR.
Happy New Year, Whistle. That was her name.
That's because I only put the emoji as their name,
Oh,
so I
okay.
didn't know what else to put there.
But thank you so much, each and every one of you, for all your support. And today's review from 91 Reasons. The show is fantastic. A must-listen for anyone who grew up listening to the radio, rock music, and the people who helped create the sound. Great hosts, fun conversation, a real gem by people who have passion. Tell your friends to join Rock and Roll Confessional.
And I checked out 91 Reasons, which is another podcast, so it was very nice of them to support us. And they sounded great, so check them out, 91 Reasons, available, of course, on iTunes, like everything else. And now, with the show, Reets, what we got?
I love this guy. This show, we're talking to Scott Page.
Oh, Scotty.
Love him. He's known for playing the saxophone with bands like Toto, Supertramp, Pink Floyd, but there's so much more to Scott. He's just got one of those brains. He starts off with his confession about what happened on his first tour with Toto, which is funny. His father being in the Lawerence Welk Band and also working at Sound City, the famous recording studio in the San Fernando Valley, plus what he'd learned from touring with Diana Ross and what it was like touring and working with Pink Floyd's David Gilmour.
And if you're a new startup band or business, Scott gives some great tips on how to start your band's company. And a special programming note that during the beginning of Scotty's confession, you'll hear a slight buzz for about 20 seconds. That's because Scott set his phone next to our recording equipment, and we got some interference.
The guy that knows everything about everything puts his phone next to the recording equipment.
He was like leaning it up on the recorder. And all of a sudden, I'm panicking because we're recording, and it's going like this, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to get rid of this really quick. So,
all right, y'all. So kick back, get ready for an amazing interview with one of Los Angeles' top 100 coolest people, Scott Page. Welcome to Rock and Roll Confessional. I'm Rita Wild, along with CW West.
Hello,
our special
everybody.
Guest today is Scott Page. Scott, how are you doing? So nice to see you.
It's so good to see you guys.
Great to see you.
I'm so happy. Maybe we go back, right?
Oh, we go back.
Back to the old days of KLOS.
Mark and Brian, yeah.
Oh, those were such fun times.
Yeah, it was
we had
great
a
because
blast.
I think it was like they had just come to town, and you were with Pink Floyd in the tour,
Yeah.
the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour at, was it the Rose Bowl, I guess?
No,
Dodger
we
Stadium?
did. That was Dodger. No, it was
Coliseum.
We did the Coliseum. We went around a couple times.
Yeah.
So I think it was Coliseum and the Forum. I think next time. Yeah, I can't remember.
I remember, they were a couple of guys that were from basically doing radio in Alabama. Of course, Brian was from Illinois, so a little bit more sophisticated than Mark.
Yep.
But you just captured their attention.
Wow.
Being on stage, and it was just like that's all they could talk about. Was Scotty Page, Scott Page this, Scott Page that. Scotty,
that was so nice.
And you became a friend
was
and
like
a fan.
I was on that show a lot. We did all those Christmas shows, and what I do for Super Bowl tickets.
Oh, God.
And I remember the one that was funny that we did that time where it was myself, Greg Bissonette, Greg the drummer, great drummer, myself and Kenny Lewis, and we went around in the back that station way, not a station way, but
Mark and Brian
the Mark and Mobile, and we'd go to people's houses and knock on doors, and we'd all honk them and stuff. It was crazy. Those were some fun times. And some of those Christmas shows, I actually just found that tape just recently. The one we did where it was Jeff Porcaro, his dad Joe Porcaro, Jim Keltner.
Yes.
I mean, it was Lee Sklar. I mean, we had incredible bands back in those days on those shows. Those were something, man. Those were really fun.
Yeah. So we want to talk a lot about that and talk a lot about what you're doing now.
Okay.
But I want to go back to
Can we start with the confession?
Okay.
Because we should start the show properly.
Rock and roll confessional.
Okay.
So, Scotty, do you have anything rock and roll world to confess?
I have a confession.
We need to hear it.
The rumor is true. In 1985, you could have seen me walking around stark naked nude in a 5-star hotel in Japan when I was playing with Toto. Now, let me fix that. All right.
Okay.
So here's the story. It's about 3:00 in the morning. I'm on the phone talking to my wife at the time, and we're on the phone, and it's those are the days when back in the 80s it was like big time expensive to be on a phone. It was like $10 a minute, right? For Japan. So I'm on the phone. I'm laying in bed. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I've got my underwear on. I'm just in bed going to sleep, and all of a sudden I hear knock, Scott. And what is it? It's Lukather, come here, quick. And I'm like, what? What is it? I'm on the phone. He says, no, come here, quick. It's Jeff. I said, what? So I say, hold on, honey. I put the phone down and I run over and I peep through the little door, right? I look through the door and there's Jeff Porcaro. He's leaning against the wall and he's like he's passing out and they're holding him up. And I go, what the heck? And I open the door. Door flies open. They grab me, pull my pants off, throw him in the room, close the door, and run down the hall screaming, run away.
Oh.
So I was stark naked in this 5-star hotel in Japan at that part of the moment. So it's true. The story is true.
Is
so
this part of the band initiation?
Well, it's interesting. Lukather was a major prankster.
Yeah.
He just loves pranks. Luke. We all know Luke. Luke he's one of he's the funniest guy. I had so much fun with him on the road and the things we've done. But he's just a prankster. I learned my lesson because after that, I knew if I would have come back down and been mad, how could you do that to me? Instead, I went down and said, I'm so honored. Thank you very much for including me. Because I knew if you resist,
it's going to happen
it's
again.
Gonna happen
It'll
again.
be worse.
Because I could tell you stories for days. I mean, with Luke and stuff. Oh, crazy. But yeah, love those guys. Oh,
that's
so much
awesome.
fun.
I mean, here you were. You're probably concerned about Jeff. Is he okay? Is he okay?
Yeah.
And you don't know, does he need to crash in my room? Oh no, we need to
Hands you.
Oh my God! But here's the funny part: is they said as they were running down the hall, all they could hear with me saying was "Hang up, hang up." I was yelling under the door to say, "Please hang up,
hang up the phone."
Which is burning.
How did it all get resolved?
Oh, so I'm like, now I'm standing, I'm 100% naked. I'm like walking him down the hall. I said, God, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to do one of these. Walk down the hallway, and finally somebody heard all the scuffling, came out and saw me and gave me a towel. So I got a towel. So I at least got to go down to the front desk with a towel around me.
Japanese
and say,
are so polite.
And are they all? Can you hear them like roaring?
Oh, they were laughing. Oh, it was crazy.
Mm.
But anyway, that's a true story.
Well, lucky for you, it was before cell phones.
That's true. Thank God. Oh, it would have been
with cameras.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that would have been. Yeah. No denying that rumor then. Singing it.
No.
All right, Reed. Sorry, I had to interrupt.
No.
So
It's great stuff.
I confessed.
Thank
so
you.
for all of you that were in Japan, 85, it was me.
It was him.
So I'm confessing that rumor.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then also, Steve
been
Lukather has
exonerated.
been, tapped too. So we're going to get some good stories from Lukather too.
Oh,
So.
Daddy. I love that boy.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. How did you get involved in music? I mean, because you play saxophone, you play guitar, you sing. So what was it as a kid? What was your motivation?
Well, I come from a musical family. My father was a musician, and he was on a television show called The Lawerence Welk Show.
Oh, is that right?
So I grew up on The Lawerence Welk
Oh,
Show
my God.
for 15 years of my life, right? So from one years old to 15.
And a two and a
Yeah,
three.
so we were on that. And so what's funny is actually my biggest claim to fame, and I'm very proud of. I'm the only person that's ever played on Lawerence Welk and Pink Floyd.
Wow.
How about that? Right? That's in
Wow.
the entire world, 6 billion people. I'm the
You
only
deserve
guy
a
that's
star.
that's a pretty big deal, right? So, so I grew up around the music business as a kid, and we did those shows every year. Actually, we did one where my dad and myself were water skiing. I was a trumpet player then, so I played my trumpet and he played 2 clarinets at the same time, and we did By the Sea, skate,
Water skiing?
water skiing
Oh,
on the
my
Lawerence
God.
Welk Show. So that's one of my big claim to fame too.
How old were you then?
There I was about 6 or 7, I think.
And you're already playing
Well, I started. My dad did one of the very first pilots that was ever done on videotape. It was a big deal. It was called Music Man Take 10. So imagine it's like a big band, because in those days it was about big bands. It wasn't about rock and roll bands. It was about big bands. So imagine a big band on the road. So it was a show about a big band that was on the road. And Jesse White, I don't remember him. He was his sidekick on the show. So they did this pilot, and they brought all the instruments. My dad was working for Conn Musical Instrument Company at the time as a clinician, and they had all the instruments. He had trumpets, trombones, everything for this television show. And I ended up seeing the trumpet and said, I want to play trumpet. My dad, being a woodwind player, said, wow, trumpet, okay. But I took up trumpet, and that's what I played all the way through college. And I switched to playing saxophone in about I guess after college, 73, 74, something like that. So I kind of been in and around the music business all the time. And it's interesting. My dad was also, you remember the studio Sound City?
Oh God!
Well, that was my dad's studio. I was there day that we found the place. Yeah, my dad started Amplified Instruments and was also one of the guys that's known for working on inventing the wah-wah pedal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that all happened out of Sound City, and so I grew up in that studio the whole time. So I know all the real stories. So actually, I just wrote a whole piece because Dave Grohl did that documentary about it, but he didn't quite get it right because I was there. I was there the day my dad came home. I was at school, came home from work, and he said, "Come on, we got to go look at this building," because they wanted to build his amplified organs. He was working for Vox, or Thomas Organ Company at the time, to develop saxophones and flutes and clarinets and trumpets to make them like guitars. So it was hooking them up, making them amplified. And we went there that night. I walked in that room. It was 4 walls. And it was that became Sound City. And it's interesting. They said in the movie that it was a warehouse, but that's not true. It was actually the Vox Sound Lab. And that's where my dad developed the wah-wah pedal and all of those amplified instruments. Amazing. And so, I grew up in that room. And the second room, which was the main room, which became Goodnight L.A., Keith Olsen's studio, which he did all those other records, was the B room, which once the A room got too busy, they built that B room for my dad.
Oh my God.
And so that was the thing. So
I'm just getting the chills about some of the songs that were recorded there.
I used to,
it's so funny because he would say that, it was just a warehouse. I said, no. I used to go in there and I would set up the chairs for James Brown, who would come in and record, because he would always have people when he recorded, he'd have everybody there. So
actually in the studio?
In the studio.
Make it like a party.
He'd make it like a party when he did his stuff.
Because he was like a live.
He was a live guy.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting. So, I just actually wrote a whole piece about Sound City and the wall pedal, because I was there. I went through it.
No, what do you do with that stuff when you write it? Have you released any books? Well,
actually, I've been approached now to put a book together.
Okay, good.
And I'm in the midst of kind of working on it. It was interesting. A guy contacted me, a big Pink Floyd fan, wanted to do a kind of a blog post or an interview for a site called Brain Damage, which is a big Pink Floyd website. And so we started it, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. So for about 2 years, he's been interviewing me and pulling it together. And, I've had a pretty interesting life, touring with all these different bands. And, I shot thousands of photographs, and I shot probably 150 hours of Pink Floyd footage that I've just now I just went through and just digitized all, and it's incredible. It's like crazy.
What do you mean you shot it?
I shot
literally on holding a camera that you took on tour?
The whole time, yeah. Oh, yeah, they couldn't believe it. It's so funny. One of the shots, I got Gilmour when I got the camera. He's sitting there saying, you'll be tired of this. And then I got the end after 2 years. Give me that camera. He says, Scott Page, this is Scott Page. He's been doing this for 2 years. Yeah. So I have all this footage. It's crazy. That whole... that show we did in Venice, which was amazing. I stayed up for 5 days basically to film that entire thing. And that's where hundreds of thousands of people showed up. They floated those barges down, set up in front of St. Mark's Square. And oh man, it was incredible.
It was chaos according to the news though.
Oh, no, it was chaos. Oh, I mean, when that place was over, it was destroyed.
I mean, you thought it was going to sink. There were so many people there.
It was mind-boggling. It was the most incredible concert in history, period. And what's great is I pretty much have all the document footage of that event.
Oh, my God.
But what are we waiting for, Scotty?
I'm putting it together right now. It's actually tying into my business that I'm doing right now.
And what's your business now? Let's talk about this.
My company is called Think Experience. And our first Think experience has been a Think Floyd experience. So we've been doing a Pink Floyd style show, a great band, all-star band, Steve Perkins, who's my partner from Jane's Addiction, the drummer, Porno for Pyros, I guess what it is. And also Kenny Olson from Kid Rock's band, guitar player, and Nord Fisher, myself. And then we have a group of other players, and we've been doing playing in a 360-degree immersive dome in downtown LA, which is like, imagine hearing Pink Floyd in a shared virtual reality experience. And it's been mind-boggling. We've had incredible turnouts for 26 shows, and people keep coming back. And because today the music business has changed so much, you can't sell music anymore.
Right.
One of the things that I do is I taught out at USC, but I teach a whole course called SPACE, which is Story, Plan, Army, Conversion, Education. So I teach artists how to be an entrepreneur, be a startup business. It's a different game.
How many people would love to have that when they were growing up?
Yeah, because I believe this is the greatest time in history for the independent artist. Now, it's not easy, but you finally have the ability. You got a 24-hour broadcast network in the palm of your hand. You have access to audience because whoever owns the audience wins. And if you look at the model that Kevin Kelly put together years ago from Wired Magazine, it's called 1,000 True Fans. A true fan is somebody who'll spend $100 a year on you. If I have 1,000 of those people that will buy or whatever I'm selling, there's my first 100,000 in revenue. So it's really about going small, building a repeatable process, and then growing your base from there. And today, there's only two things you can really sell in the music business, because music, like I said, nobody buys downloads and streams. You know that it's roughly around $5,000 for 1 million streams, but only like less than 2% of the entire Spotify catalog gets 1 million streams. So you can imagine everybody else is not making much money. So it's pretty rough. So what can you sell is the relationship. People want to know your lifestyle, and that happens online. You see all these YouTubers and people that are building things around that. And the second thing is an experience. So that was why I ended up forming Think Experience, was I realized that the world is shifting and the new game is about these new experiences. People are inundated with content all day long. I can't take any. I have so many people sending me their albums, and I can't listen to any more music. I can't take it. So people are done with. They got so much input. So what will they pay for? And what we've seen from the data is an experience. You've got these pop-ups coming up, like the Museum of Ice Cream. It pops up and people go there, and they're like selfie stations. They take pictures, but it's an experience, and they'll buy the ticket. Just like with us, with our shows, this was our sort of test run. We're seeing in kind of an average ticket price of $80, and people want to have a great experience. So Think is all about building these experiences, where we're bringing AR, augmented reality, VR, all these types of things. And I even told you about a friend that's a venture capitalist that just put a bunch of money in a new company that when you put the shoes on, it turns you into a speaker. So it's crazy. And he says,
mind-boggling.
He says the next time you will never listen to music again after you put these shoes on.
You have to wear these Herman Munster shoes
Probably,
around.
whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to definitely check it out. But the point is we're about building that experience. So Think shows are about the minute the ticket is bought, the ticket comes alive through AR. We're building our exhibits out, and we've got all the different kinds of techs that people can test out and play with. So it's kind of like a circus, and it came from a show I did with Mark and Brian.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1992. It was called the Grand Scientific Musical Theater, and I did it in Las Vegas. Mark and Brian were the host, along with Charles Fleischer, who was the voice of Roger Rabbit. But he was talking through a 3D head at the time. So it was like the very first time we had a talking head, and we had everything. I had everybody from Cirque du Soleil, Graham Nash, Tower of Power, John Entwistle, Baxter, Jeff Baxter there, Nevada Symphony Orchestra, Graham Nash, the Turtles. And we had this big giant variety show, and where we had the first 3D circular video walls, first 3D audio. So it was really about bringing technology and Hollywood together for the first time. And actually a word was coined out of that show called Sillywood. So it was that first time we kind of brought it all together. And it was kind of, people say it was kind of that, the flag went down and said go between Hollywood and technology at that time. So I'm just bringing that back, that whole model right now, because I believe that's the new thing.
Because the technology's there that you can all do it, and everybody kind of understands what it is now. I mean, if you go to a regular concert, concert prices these days, ticket prices are just insane.
Yep.
I don't know how people are affording, $700, $800.
Thousands of dollars.
Crazy.
For some of these.
The last row is like the 99. We were talking about that on the way, and CW and I were. But, people want something more than just hearing that music. So now you got the sound systems, which are so much better now.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the first experiences I had with this, I think, was the U2 album Innocence and Experience on the tour the first time, where they had the album. It kind of came to life. Mm-hmm. The CD, it had that picture come out of the Mephisto, almost
Right.
the Bono Mephisto, the evil character. And then they did that in the shows also. It was just, you were part of it. There were waterfalls, there were, icebergs, everything was melting. And it was.
And it's one of those bands that's always been kind of on top of technology and trying to keep up with everything. Because again, it's been hard to sell the music.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a different thing. Is what I always ask. One of the first questions I ask artists when they're starting up. The first thing I say, well, okay, great. What problem are you solving? And most artists will go, and I've said this a million times. Wait a minute, I smoke fatties and I write songs all day. What do you mean? Well, I'm just saying, is any business, if you're in a startup business, the goal is you're building a business or solving some kind of problem that people care about. Well, today, again, I've got more music than I can do. So how do I get people's attention? And so the idea of being for something, having a purpose as who you are as an artist, and figuring out how you can create and solve some problems. And that may mean it could be charities you're working with or organizations that are doing things, but some way that you can tie your music and kind of bring it all together. So today is really about mashing up, I think, ideas. For us, it's looking at these classics. This was a Think Floyd. We're looking at Think Bowie and Think Hendrix and think all these different ways that we can look at that thing and elevate the experience of that music using that classic music, which is still timeless. I mean, even more today, I think, than ever. It's
kind of like Lazarium, the way that, but the Lazarium was just kind of like, it's like finger puppets now.
Yeah, starting, right. Yeah. But now we're getting way more. It's getting great.
Because your seat will have those things.
Well, you've got your seat plus your phone. Remember, so our shows, the phone is built into it. So you're encouraged to use
give
the phone.
People an excuse to pull out their phone.
Because they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so if they're there, I figure out, well, how do I make that be more integral into the show? So that's what we're building
There's
now.
a video on YouTube, which I'm going to put into the show notes. Like you said, Rita, it's Laserium because you've got the whole dome, but it's projection. I mean, it's like an acid trip. I mean, it really is. There's so much with, all the Pink Floyd music, but you've just got all these amazing graphics, which I don't know if, is that just developed out of the blue? I mean, or is that stuff that you guys have purchased or?
Oh, you mean the stuff we've been...
Yeah, that you've been projecting?
Oh, we've been doing, this has been it's called an MVP in the tech world, minimal viable product. So this is our test run. We test and validate everything now based on a set of principles called the lean startup principle. So it's a whole model that I use. I took that Silicon Valley model and actually brought it over to entertainment, but it's a methodology of how you test, validate things, don't run out of resource, fail fast. You want to test all this stuff. So what we've been doing in that show was a test run. And so we were just compiling varieties of things that we could put together without having to do it. So we were using existing materials that we would use with the show.
Yeah.
You're not your typical musician.
I love this. Yeah, see, I love the whole idea of music and business because to me, it's the art of the business, which is just like the art of the music.
When you were growing up, though, there were so many people that got ripped off with their contracts.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know anything. And it's great that you have a class that you actually teach people nowadays. This is what you need to do to protect yourself. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
advice.
it's really it's stop complaining and get out there and look at what the opportunities are. I mean, like I said, the phone now it's a 24-hour broadcast network. I try to tell everybody, Twitter's a 24-hour cocktail party.
Yeah.
You can start building relationships right away because remember, you all know everything is about relationships. That's the whole game, right? That's the big part of the whole deal. And when I was teaching out at USC, I would say, okay, everybody in this room, I said, we got 2 more years in school. I said, the day you finish school on Friday, you take off the weekend, you should have your job on Monday. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you have that connection device that you can start now building all your relationships, get in the door so that the day you're finished,
you're ready
to go.
Ready to pay back those debts.
It's really interesting because it was something that I believe in. It's like when I started with the Floyd tour, I knew we were going out for 2 years. All I was thinking about is what's going to happen the day that it's over. Because I know I'm going to blink and it's going to be done, right? So I planned my whole thing so that I knew the day that trip was over, I'm working. I already know what's going on. So I've tried to teach that thinking because we have that ability now with these tools. I mean, it's crazy. We have communications and we got more power in the palm of our hand than NBC had, 10 years ago, right? As far as being able to get to people.
Does it take away from the music though?
Sure.
I mean, because like when you first grew up and it was it was just that song that communicated with you.
I mean, I don't know if it's the same thing, but there was the album cover.
Yeah.
That was communicating and, the sleeve and all the liner notes and things like that we used to, at that time, sit and study.
Right.
Yeah, just on the radio, just what came out and first got your attention. You didn't need visuals on that at all. It was just, connecting with the music and stuff like that, whatever you...
Well, no, there's no question. I mean, that's the biggest issue is I think for artists, because a lot of artists don't think business wise.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, or if they do, they sometimes feel like they're selling out. Because the first thing I try to tell artists, I ask them, I say, is this a business or a hobby? Just tell them, I mean, it's fine. Hobbies are awesome.
Yeah.
Businesses have to generate revenue.
Yeah.
So if we're going to generate revenue, then we have to think more like a business. You know, instead of like, oh, I use Twitter, you know, or Instagram and all that, you can go to Google and say how to use Twitter for business, how to use Instagram for business, how to build
marketing,
learn all the techniques.
Sure.
Because you can now do it yourself, or at least build a team of people. And artists need to have at least an understanding of how all this stuff, what are algorithms, you know, what is growth hacking, right? And all these new forms of stuff that you need to have and understand. Now, you're right. It can get in the way of the music, and a lot of people want to just go make music and don't want to do this. Well, then that's the point of what I call in my space story plan army. That army is your team. And you need to have people, because there's no way around not doing this, right? If you want to build a business. So you have to figure out, number one, are you a starter or are you a finisher? That's a good question. Me, I'm a starter.
Yeah.
But I know that means I have to have finishers that I work with in my team so that I can get it started and I can hand it right over to a finisher and make it happen. A lot of artists are trying to balance it all, and they don't really realize what they're really good. They're good at making the music, and they try to do the business, where I say, if you're going to do the business part, put a business team together. Well, I can't afford that. Well, that's not necessarily true. You have what we call superfans.
Yeah.
Superfans is where everything happens. We know that from data, because that's the thing that we have now that we've never had before, was the data. We have access to data. I don't do anything until we test the data. Why would I go build something until I know it's tested and the numbers work? Because I'd be rolling the dice that people are going to show up later. There's a thing called in the startup world called the founder's dilemma. And that means, I got this great idea. I know it's going to be, everybody's going to care. I go get my money. I'm going to build it, and they're going to come. And you build it and nobody cared but you and maybe 5 other people. That's why you have to test and validate, because sometimes as an entrepreneur and artist, you see it in your head and you think everybody's going to care, but nobody cares. There's no market for it or anything. And I've done that. So I've learned my lesson, where I thought I'd go build something, spent $10 million on building it, and nobody cared. So I learned my lesson very, very well. So it's just, just because you got an idea. Ideas, again, are the smallest part of the whole thing. It's funny. People that, especially when I work with these startups, they work together, and it's like, okay, now it's time to put the business together. Okay, what do I get? What do you get? What do you get? What do you get? And the guy goes, well, my idea, so I should get 50%. Well, if you go to, there's a site called founders.org, and there's a chart you can fill in. Everybody fills in what they do, and you hit a button, and it comes back and tells you what
percentages.
You should get. The idea is 5%.
Whoa.
Right? That's the smallest part. This is the smallest part of the whole thing. It's all the execution that goes down. Remember, and people freak out about, my idea is going to get stolen. I'm like, no. It's like, you can have an idea. If you can't execute on it, then who cares? And it's difficult sometimes to execute, and it takes teams of people and the money. And that's why I try to teach everybody, the name of the game is building the relationships. You want to focus on those influencers first. Why spend your time on trying to reach the masses? My model is you go small. Everything is about going small, build a repeatable model, and then you expand it that way. Scale it once you understand what's going on. The great part is we now, with that darn phone, it's crazy. Like we were talking earlier, the 3 big things that have happened: bandwidth, storage, and horsepower. That freaking phone, man, is so powerful now. People that are, especially, it blows my mind, kids growing up today, they have no idea.
They don't know what it was like in the old days,
right?
When we were kids,
look at the phone.
We had an abacus.
Well, it's almost that, because it's really funny, because I go back and I remember 27-cent gas. So I could go all the way back. I remember getting up in the morning, see you, Mom. All right, gone for the day. As soon as I left, no phones, nothing. It was just, I'm on my own. Nobody cared. Nobody bothered me. Oh, freedom.
Yeah. Have you done seminars and stuff like that? Because you're a fantastic speaker.
Oh, I loved it. I only taught one semester out. Okay. I hadn't been doing it. To be honest, I got very disenchanted with the children today. They were
think about it. Like, it's like, when it comes to music, they don't really teach it in schools anymore. So it's like you kind of lose out on that, and then you lose math, because music is math.
Yeah.
And
more for me, it was just the curiosity seems to have gone away. I don't know why. I had 40 kids in that class, and they just wasn't curious. And I was and I don't mean to be hard-nosed because I know I work with some incredible millennials that are monstrous, but I was very surprised to see they're stuck in their phones. They're looking at their computers. They kind of gave you, if you didn't like what you were doing. I brought in a few incredible speakers and I just got lit for it. I was just really surprised on seeing that because I love getting up and working. I'm like working. We built teams and we were marketing bands. I mean, it was a really cool class. I was very surprised, but I don't mean to digress into that.
No, but it's all connected.
Yeah. So, but yes, I love to teach. And I got that because I would do lectures out there and they would say, nobody teaches this stuff. Would you come in and do a class? So that's how that came about.
But then now frustrating if they don't want to learn it and stuff like that.
It's really sad. I don't know what it is. It's very interesting, the phenomena right now. And, this whole idea of everybody's the same. I don't know about this one, man. There's something about competition and all those things.
There's something too, though, when you make your music through a computer, when you don't make the sound yourself, when it's like you rely all on a computer beat and stuff like that, that takes something away.
It's a different type of kind of making music. And that's why I think what's so great about when you look at the great old records, everything from the Stones, the Beatles, Floyd, Hendrix, those days we had to actually play what went on the tape. Now I can play. I go in and do a session now and they'll just say, give me a couple takes, boom. And they say, that's fine. We'll take it from here. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that was any. No, don't worry. They'll go in, they'll flip it, they'll do it, they'll fix the pit. They'll just Frankenstein a whole new thing out of it and we're out the door. So for me, it's that there's a certain sense of that soul of people being able to kind of feel them think and stuff that you feel on those records. You feel like there's some emotional thing going on as they're putting it on. And those records will stand the test of time. And I think that's what people gravitate to. It's the stuff they don't even realize is going on, especially when I look at the machines and there are some incredible grooves they build, but there's nothing like, you've got a Steve Ferroni groove or a Bissonette groove or something, the way these guys play, and you put the right bass player and you feel everybody's concentration go to that space. And, we had to put a solo. We had to take a couple deep breaths and hit the thing and record and hope and pray that you got it. And, you could do a little bit of editing in the day. You could punch in between a couple tracks, but it wasn't like now I can take and move, any one note. Oh, I hit a flat note. Oh, raise that note. You can fix anything. So
could you imagine if the Beatles had the technology today that they then, because with the phone, there's probably more in your phone than was at the Abbey Road studios.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's crazy. You can make records. People are making albums on their cell phones.
Yeah.
Especially unlimited tracks. I always said the most dangerous button on the recording console was the solo button. Because what happens is, we'd go in and cut tracks. I'll never forget this. We cut a track at night. We'd be finished. We'd listen back that night and go, wow, it's smoking good. It's hot, rocking, feel good. And we come back in the next day. Yeah, it's good. Solo up that bass. That bass is a little out of tune. We should fix that. And then we start fixing that. Yeah. And then everything. And all of a sudden the track that was so rocking went, ugh. Yeah. Because there's little mistakes, those little...
Sometimes that's the best part.
Oh, no, it's like a hand of God coming in sometimes will make you do things that you thought were wrong at the time. When you hear it back, it was magic. So, it's different.
Rita and I have been talking about a band from Long Beach called Rival Sons.
Okay.
And I was looking them up a couple days ago just for the heck of it. And they say that they like to go into the studio, like all of them at once, and just completely record everything live like the good old days, because that way it captures everybody's performance. And
that's where the magic is.
Yeah. Makes it so magical out of all that.
Yeah. I got really influenced by, just spaced on his name, but he was the producer that did all those Al Green records. And one of the things that kind of goes along with this is what he used to do. If you listen to those records, you'll notice the second they started them, the groove was happening. It wasn't like, okay, everybody catches up, now we're all rocking. It was just like, boom. And he would do this thing, and I always loved this, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful studio trick, I guess you would call it. He'd get everybody to rehearse the rhythm section to be there. Everybody would be warming up, and then he'd say, okay, hold it, everybody. He said, I want everybody to clap. And he'd start the clap of the song. He said, I'm going to conjure up the Holy Ghost. And he'd make everybody in the room clap the tempo of the song until it sounded like one clap. He would wait. If you felt any of this, if it didn't feel, you could feel when it all came together. And as soon as that happened, he'd go 1, 2, 3 and count the thing off. So what he was doing was bringing everybody's head right into that space so that we're all at that same place. I mean, that's the thing about music. I mean, for me, I took a heavy spiritual path about 25 years ago. It's my favorite subject, consciousness, the whole thing. And I realized after years of playing that there was a handful of times I used to tape myself all the time coming home from gigs. gigs, playing my club gigs, and listen to myself back to say I was a little flat, I was sharp, I was rushy, draggy, just to critique myself. And I remember it over about a 10-year period of time of doing that. There was like maybe a handful of times, 5 or 6 times, that it was magical. I played stuff that I had was that me? I couldn't believe it. And what I had realized through years and, kind of taking a meditative path and what had happened was I actually stopped thinking. So I realized now that the whole thing of playing is really allows you to connect with the source. If you want to call it God or consciousness or whatever whatever works for you. Be careful putting a word on it, because as soon as you do, you miss it.
Somebody will critique it.
Well, you feel it.
You can't. Yeah. It has nothing to do with thought, right? It's the whole idea of not thinking. So as soon as you label something, you're thinking about it, and now you missed it.
But you know it when you feel it.
You know it when you feel it. So for me, it's like I go play, and I try to tell people it's like I get close to God or get close to the source, because there's nothing more beautiful when thought drops and you see how everything is everything's okay.
How did you get there? I mean, I'm sure years and years of touring on the road and studios and this and that, and everybody thinks a rock star life is so glamorous, but it's here to hear this, bus ride, this plane ride, this hotel, this, dropping of the pants.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. But how did you get there? How did you get to that spiritual center?
Oh, well, so for me, it was real interesting. I feel like I'm the most blessed, thankful human being on the entire planet. I've had more fun than any human, and I'm alive to talk about it, which is kind of hard to believe, actually. When I think of all those years, rock and roll, oh my God, the things we did to ourselves.
Okay.
It was interesting. It was quite a few years, about 20 something years ago. I woke up and I was just, I wasn't real happy with everything that was going on. Even though I had cars, house thing, I was doing okay, playing tours, doing just wasn't satisfied.
You had a life, man. But,
I was something that was missing, and I knew I was trying to practice, and I couldn't practice because my concentration. And I had a friend of mine had mentioned to me about an event that he had gone to where it was one of those type of, you've heard of things like Ests, or where you have 100 people in a room, and it's like 4 or 5 days of just an intensive brain-changing thinking thing. And I thought, you know what? It was my birthday coming up. I'm going to go do this. So I went and did it. It was the most life-changing thing I'd ever done. Not so much that what was interesting is after I got more into it, I started looking at what had actually happened and looked at the organization and stuff that we were dealing with. And it was a little cultish. But what it did was it really changed my perspective on things. And I just came out of there like, wow, now I became a fanatic, started reading books. And the book that really changed, really took me to the next level was a book called The Power of Now, which is Eckhart Tolle, who I think is one of the greatest, a real spiritual teacher. There's a lot of people that are teaching, but are really not there. But his book. And so I ended up reading that book like 60 times. And I said to myself, I'm going to listen to him tell the story, read the book to me in the car for 2 years. So I made my car the shrine, and I just did that. And I made that as the most important thing I've written, which it is. Through that, it became such a journey. And I just realized that inward journey is the main thing. And the key to life is basically to surrender what is. Because here's the one that really gets it. Once you grasp this concept, everything for me, it started to happen. The only thing that's real is us talking right now.
Now, the moment, the present.
And there's only one moment in time. It's always the same moment.
Yeah.
How could it be anything different, right? So once you start to grasp that 10 seconds ago is completely illusion. So time is an illusion, because the only way time works is in our memory. I can remember 5 minutes ago. I can't do it. So all this stuff is an illusion. You start realizing, well, if that's the case, if the only thing that's real is us talking right now, and the only thing that's real is what's actually happening, then all this other stuff is like, your mind is like making you crazy. So the whole deal is really trying to understand who you are. And you'll realize that for me, it happened. Well, I'll tell the story. April 9th, 10/12/2011. I remember it so clearly. I woke up in the morning, got up, rubbed my eyes, looked in the mirror, and I went, holy cow, man. 50-something years went by. I blinked. Oh, they're talking about time being an illusion. Started to really make some sense. It really was. And at that moment, I realized you can't die, because the voice that was looking through my eyes is the same voice when I was 5 years old. Even all that time, so-called time went by. And so I just had that epiphany. And so what's so interesting is the next time I read the Eckhart book, it was 180 degrees from what I thought it was originally, because what I thought was not it. You
Yeah.
cannot think it. You have to know it. You can never say, oh, I understand it. As soon as you say you understand it, you missed it, right? So from that point on, it's just been crazy because I love the concept. So the game is really, people have got what I call the collective unconscious, what I'll say the woke in this planet right now, because here's a perfect example of showing how you're really not. You're really asleep, and you think you're woke because I hear all these people. You look on Facebook. I'm woke. We're doing this. It's all for the good of mankind. You know, I'm supporting all my causes. I'm there. I'm at my yoga class yet I hate you for saying what you did, right? And they don't understand.
Right.
Oops. That hate just made you realize that you're as asleep as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
So all I can tell is anybody out there, if you're looking at it and you think you're saving the world, but you have hate for, I don't care who it is, it could be the president, that's a pointer to look inside and say, wait a minute, because everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's like we can sit there and think that we're, as humans in general, are so important. But look at this planet. There's millions of things that are going on. This thing's been going on for 4.5 billion years, and it's going to go with us or without us. We'll see if humans make it. And in the big scheme of things, it really doesn't matter from my point of view, because what I realize is that once you start to wake up and you start to shut that thought down and you look at yourself, you're actually looking at yourself. At everything you see, you're seeing yourself. And that's a profound knowing when you actually grasp that. And for me, it took like 20-something years. You know, it's fascinating. And what happens is it's just much more peaceful. It's just much more living, much more peace, because then you don't take everything so seriously. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And you can't, judging is like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like that revelation just kind of like made you put all that worry, all that angst into a little box and free up those areas of your mind so you could think more forward about things that you're thinking about now, the technology and how that can enhance and make life better.
Yeah, so they call it awareness. It's being aware, right? But here's the game, and here's the question for all the listeners. How do I know I'm aware that I'm aware? That's the puzzle you have here. I can say I'm aware. Hey, I'm in this room. But am I really? Or is it my mind just telling me that I'm aware, right? And that's the little trick, is to how do I know? And that's the journey that is really, it's crazy. It's like the ultimate game. And I came out of the gaming business, Seventh Level, we were a game company and we built that. So I have a thought about a gaming. So I took this whole idea and I figured out from a gaming point of view, how do I figure this thing out, right? How do I use this game between my mind and my ego and the consciousness space and play that game? And it's very fascinating now, because now I've come to a point where I'm watch myself think all the time. And so that's a really fascinating thing, right? Because I can see myself being a complete idiot, right? I'm like talking about it. I saw myself in a meeting one time and I'm watching myself, the way I'm reacting and doing things. And I'm going, what am I, an idiot? I'm insane. And once you realize how insane you are, then you can look at everybody else and go, we're all insane.
Yeah.
We're just run to this mental movie that's in our head of what they think reality is. Right. It's crazy. I mean, you see this herd mentality is like, controlling the crowds. Listen, the one that's getting me right now, which really shows the insanity from my point of view, is the whole thing of climate change. First of all, I don't know one climate change denier on the planet. Everybody knows the climate change has been changing for 4.5 billion years. No question. There's no question humans on this planet are disrupting what's going on here, right? There's no question. It's happening. The question is how much, really? And what can we really do about it? Not all this hyperbole. It's just sad to me to see that, but this whole herd mentality of everybody, all these experts that know what's going on, and they really don't have any idea, but it feels good, right?
Yeah,
it's a great
they feel
thing.
like they're doing the right thing.
We got to think about it, because what gets left out of everything is context. Everybody goes, oh, content's king. Da, da, da. I say, yeah, but context is God. If you don't put things into context, it's over, because it's always a cause and effect. No more cars in 10 years. Okay, great. I love the idea. No more. It's incredible idea. Well, what happens when you do that? What are all the ripple effects?
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens? And so it becomes a weighing of things. We got to look at it in so many terms. I mean, it's always a balance. And if we don't put context into things, it's crazy. But anyway, I don't know how we got on this.
It's fascinating. and I just can't wait till you release that book. Because I'm so there. It's like, and you're such a great, great talker about it, a great explainer. And that's, I think, what the world needs a lot of, these days. It's just like people just don't understand. I mean, all that stuff is floating out there, but somebody to teach it, somebody to make it understandable.
I started a thing a while ago, which I'm going to actually bring back. It's called Go Small Now. Go small. Everybody's trying to go out and save the world. If we all just did the smallest thing every day, what I can do, I can go pick up that cigarette butt and put it in the trash. That I can do. If everybody just took that point of view, we'd be fine. Everybody just take care of the space around you. Forget about everything else.
I look at every situation as like, how can I improve where I'm at right now? Can I pick up that trash? Can I wipe down the sink with my dry paper towel that I don't need anymore? Or can I...
You shouldn't be using paper towels.
What you just said, though.
Okay. But I don't use a paper towel, then I'm going to use the blow dryer. But the blow dryer is going to mean we
use
need
electricity. Just use a cloth.
You're just being more conscious about what's going on. And that's what waking is being conscious of what is actually happening.
Exactly. Right. I'm going to jump the shark and go back to music.
Oh, yeah, remember music. How did we get on this? I'm sorry.
No, I think it's great.
But everything that he's saying just makes such absolute sense. And for young people, musicians, that people want to get into this business, I mean, they forget the business aspect. And that to me is just,
well,
you got to make it fun, too.
Now.
Yeah, you got to make it fun.
See, that's the point, is business to me is just as fun as the other part, because it's an art. There's an art to business. It's
exactly. The 60s wasn't business. It was roll yourself into a garage, put a band together, play music, hope you get signed, and let someone else take care of the business, at which point everybody was getting screwed.
There were some that weren't, though.
It's always that handful. I mean, everybody says, remember the old Mick business Jagger was so great, right?
Paul McCartney. There's like one in every band.
But they were heavily involved.
Yeah,
because they took the business.
And Paul were in it because they took it as a business. But you look at so many other bands that trusted management or the label or whatever and didn't read the contracts when they got signed to a label.
So many, and I can go on with bands that I worked with that have been through that.
Losing your writing credits or your rights, which is now where you can make the money probably over recording a song. You know, if you write an album and down the line, 50 years from now, all these other people have borrowed it and put it in movies and everything else, that's where you're going to make your money. So
I mean, record labels right now are making more money than ever.
Even
you would think, well, wait a minute, the business, because it's the old catalogs and all that stuff, and they're not signing new bands really anymore, because unless you're like, they're going to look at your social footprint, and they're going to look and see how much engagement you have. And if you have the engagement, we'll
how many
bring
followers,
you on. How many I can put sales according to what you have. If you don't have that, that's why I tell artists. They always say to me, I have a lot of them. Well, I'm going to build my album, then I'm going to get on social media. We're going to no. You need to be doing that now, building up to it. Put a campaign together of some way to bring audience into the fold, and so when you do come out, you're ready to rock and roll. It's a different game now, totally.
What do you recommend for somebody like a band, an artist, to do Twitter or Facebook or Instagram? Or...
It's again, it becomes truthfully, I believe any of them will work because it's again about amassing a small group of people. Get a couple, 2,000 or 3,000 people that care about you. Let's get that started first. Forget about everything else. Let's just get if we can get 1,000 people to get 500. Let's just figure that out. If we figure that model out, then we have an opportunity to kind of grow that business over time. But, again, like I said, it's the greatest time. I mean, I can now build my own audience and own my own audience, right? So you want to move people wherever those platforms. Now, you got to be careful on those platforms. I had a friend of mine had over 1 million followers on Facebook. They shut him down. And that was it. They lost everything.
Wow.
Because remember, those networks don't really you don't have access to the data like you thought. You don't have access to those people other than on those platforms. So you want to try to move them into someplace, into your mailing list or somewhere, another platform, somewhere where you can have direct access to those people. So using those other platforms to basically amass your audience, bring your audience, but move them like a funnel to your own platform.
Yeah.
A perfect example is I have a friend of mine who is an artist that was out on the Warped Tour and stuff. And she said that she basically, her entire year of living comes off about 125 people that support her. She makes her clothing. She does her stuff. But he says that they show up at all her shows. They buy her records. They constantly, she says that from that one group, that group of people, which is now like her family because she's built such a relationship with them, that covers her pretty much her nut for the year, and everything else is gravy from that. So it's really about thinking small, building it, because we're moving from right now that we've been in the kind of the global open networks, but what the trend is now we're moving into hives. People are now moving away from the global and moving into groups of things where they find things that they care about.
The tribes.
Right? They're tribes, right? So that's the new model. Is everything's moving that, and it's all going into real time. We're getting a lot of real time happening right now. That's why, Facebook bought WhatsApp and Instagram. I mean, they want these real time apps, right, that are starting, especially because that's the new world. But it's an interesting time we live in, but artists, you have to think like an entrepreneur today. Now, that's not to say that there aren't those occasions when you're going to get lucky with a label or somebody's going to come, but
it's kind of like one and done.
It's one, yeah. I mean, it's very, very few. So it's really about I believe you have to take your career in your own hands, and you can still swing for the fence, but let's go get a couple singles. Yeah. Right, let's just go get.
But the thing is, too, is go out and tour. I mean, we talked to JY of Styx, and it was like, we used to always do a lot of stuff with Styx at KLOS and various things, but that doesn't exist now because a lot of stations will only play the catalog, but they go out and they tour, and it's not selling out the Forum every night, but it's going to like all these casinos, and it's like 5,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Well, that's the sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are happening. But and an example here, and I'll throw this one out to artists. I spent a lot of time in the tech world with a lot of technologists and growth hackers and all those kind of guys. And I got a message on Facebook from this girl, and her name is Shalita. She goes by right now, and she hit me up. She says, "Oh, I saw that you're into growth hacking and crowdsourcing and music and everything. I'm a musician. I was an engineer and all this stuff." And so she started talking to me. And I started talking to her, and I just realized she was one of the most genius artists I've ever met in my life. Because she says, well, I said, what have you been doing? She says, well, I've been doing shows. I've been touring the world. She said, well, first of all, she was a senior software engineer at Microsoft. She taught herself how to be an engineer. She quit to become an artist. And she says, I tour the world and I sell out all my shows. I said, what do you mean you sell out of your shows? Have you ever heard of Meetups.com? I said, sure, Meetups. So Meetup.com, the model is you communicate online, but then everybody gets together and meets up that's in that group.
Yeah.
So she says, well, what I did is I booked my tour. And what I do is I join the meetups in every one of those towns where I find a group of people that fits the data, my profile. I join those groups. I get known on the groups. And then I go, oh, by the way, let's have the meetup at my show at this place. And she drives all that traffic and fills up the show with all those people. That's an incredible hack.
Yeah.
That's a musician's hack right there. I mean, that's insane. I mean, when I heard that,
genius,
I said, that's genius.
Speaking of meetups.
Yes.
How'd you meet up with Supertramp? And what I find interesting is that you're on their album at the same time that you're on the Roger Hodgson solo album, which I'm wondering if there was any battle between you working with both, because he had just left Supertramp to do his solo album.
Right. And because we did the last, Roger, all of us went out on the last famous Last Words tour together.
Okay.
So we were out. And so that's how I met Roger. But it's interesting. So this is another story I always tell artists, okay? This is lessons for any artist out there. You never know where or who's in the room when you're at gigs. And so I'm one of those people, I take every gig, I just go play, money, no money, I don't care. So I play gigs. Well, I used to play a gig at a place in Burbank. What was it called? I can't remember. I had a band there. It was called Just for Grins, and we played there every Sunday and Monday night. It was one of those things. And their guy used to sit over in the corner and sit there and drink a beer. And finally, I became friends with him, took up. It ended up it was Bob Siebenberg, the drummer from Supertramp. So I got a call from him. I was actually playing with Diana Ross at the time and said, hey, we're looking for somebody for the band. Would you want to come and audition? So I was in Vegas doing Diana Ross. So I flew back there, and that's how I got the gig for the band then. And that's how it happened. But so, I try to tell everybody as far as artists, do you know the influencers around you already? I mean, do you have any idea? Like your Superfans, that's an incredible way to build your business, right? With your Superfans. We know 60% of your revenue will come from 1 to 2-3% of your audience. The Superfan covers everything. Back to the girl that's making 125 people a year. Where was I going?
Who you meet?
Oh, yeah.
Who's in the room?
Meet. All right. So always ask, find out who your superfans are. What do you do? Because I'm amazed that you'll find a superfan that's a web developer and you need a website. So there's people that you can reach out to. So always at the gig, I teach a thing too, that's 7 levels of conversation and communication, conversion. It's a marketing pyramid. The bottom of the pyramid, which is the hardest, is just an ad. That doesn't really, you're throwing it out to the world. Next is a more targeted ad, maybe a targeted mail piece. The next thing on the moving up on converting is social media. That's just really a funnel. And you need to move those people someplace where you can move them into a funnel. Then the next is, believe it or not, to convert people to being kind of a fan is a handwritten note. those people don't throw those away.
No.
So I always tell artists, if somebody does something cool, a fan, get out a piece of paper, either film yourself writing them a note, take a picture of the note, and sign it, and send it to them. And you will, those people will be engaged with you for the rest of your life. It's crazy. The next is a phone call from a conversion point of view, right? That's better because it's at least a conversion. The top two things to convert building your audience building is a live performance and a one-on-one. What do artists go? They're on the road. They play in front of people. How many of them have a strategy to really build audience? Yeah. How do I convert that audience that I'm in front of them to bring? So you just never know. So all this is about really understanding your influencers that are around you, other band members in the band. You might even know the guy's dad owns a freaking thing and they do gigs every year and there might be some correlation. So you have to really understand who the people are around you, and that really helps in building your business, right? So influence the influencers first. Number one. Focus on that. Who are the top 10 people you need to influence? Put all your time into that. Forget about trying to do everything else. Because once you get somebody else talking for you,
right,
things start happening.
Right.
Because you don't want to be telling everybody how cool you are. You want this cool guy to tell you how cool you are, right? And when that happens, then everything starts to happen. The snowball effect starts to happen.
And one of your biggest influences is David Gilmour?
Two of my biggest probably influences in music, I mean, as far as really thinking about the business and everything music, was Diana Ross and David Gilmour. Now, Gilmour was interesting because he's the master of melody. What I learned from him is don't play all those notes. Don't play a bunch of stuff that nobody can understand. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, as music, nobody can care less. But if you look at Gilmour, all those melodies that he plays, everybody you sing those songs, you remember every one. So he changed my playing dramatically. I completely changed the way I play to say, I'm going to try to play things that are melodic that people can understand and follow, right? And so he was really influential. And he was also the one that said to me, he says, make it grand and they will come, right? I'll never forget when we were in Toronto, we were rehearsing. We rehearsed out in an airplane hangar out on the Toronto airport. And they used to have to bus us out in between 747s to get out to one of those places. And I remember sitting in this place looking around, pigs flying, crazy. I mean, I'm like, whoa, this is trip 747s going by. You know, it was like the wildest thing. And I said, boy, Dave, this is really something. He says, yeah. He says, you know, we've learned if you make it grand, they will come.
Yeah.
So when you went in there in rehearsal and you were going to play something, did you, by the time it was showtime, had you toned down your playing method?
No, I mean, it grew over time. Okay. As I was playing with him more, I just started to realize, and so his influence started to I just started to realize I would watch people, you know, he would kill you with the space that he left, not the note that he played. He would just tear you out because I'd see him play a note and then he'd like walk over his thing and he'd turn his thing, and everybody's sitting on the edge of their chair waiting for him to play the next note, right? He just has that ability to just really touch somebody with just the melody and the way that he touches the notes and hit it. So there's a lot of subtlety in what he does in his playing, but it's very, very musical. One of the most musical guys I've ever met in my life, I believe, yeah.
What did you learn from Diana Ross?
Diana Ross was interesting. Okay, so the story was I wasn't really, I had just finished a show that I did called Push Back the Walls, which was a whole project I did where I recorded all these guys using holophonic microphones. It was all do this weird visual sound stuff that I was working with. And I got called to go do her tour. And I was like, gosh, I don't know, but I want to get a new console for my studio.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go do this 8-week tour. I'm going to go. So I fly to New York. I go in there. And I remember being in the room with the band, and we're kind of starting to rehearse. And she walked in the room, and I was like, I could not take my eyes off of her for some reason. And I'd worked with celebrities and stuff but she had this magnetism that was extraordinary to me. And I was like, what is it about her that is so different than anybody else? There's something about her. Everybody, the way they respond. And I remember them come up to me and says, okay, you know, when you see Diana, you don't call her Diana, you call her Miss Ross, right?
Don't look her in the eye.
Yeah, don't look her in the eye. You know, it's all this stuff, right? And I'm like, huh? I'm here for 8 weeks. I don't play that game, right? So I was, hi, Diana, how you doing? So I ended up getting along really well with her. I mean, at the point that she'd even called me a few times, come up to her dressing room to play me some songs, to get my feedback on them and stuff. So we became pretty good friends. But she was amazing because I couldn't take my eyes off her. And I remember the first night on the gig, I got out there and we had a book I was reading. I was in a horn section on this band. And I was making so many mistakes because I couldn't take my eyes off her. I wanted to figure it out because she would get everybody up on their feet like just crazy. And so I ended up going back, and I remember I took 2 days, memorized the book so I could put it away so I could just watch her, looking for patterns. And I started seeing things that she would do consistently. That's what I was looking for.
Back to your patterns.
Back to the patterns. And she could make the entire audience just come alive, even if she couldn't sing anymore. She would do things like one that I would love is she would always find somebody in the first couple rows and make sure she looked him right in the eye and really communicated with that person, right? And then what would happen is the people around her would be so excited because she's not just playing through a wall, she's actually interacting. And then she'd find somebody over here and she'd do the same thing. And she'd kind of plan. And it's somebody with a sign in the back of the stadium. Oh, I see you up there with the sign. You know, she'd recognize. Yeah. She would just sit there and connect. And all of a sudden, the vibe would just come up. And I said, cool. Yeah. Second thing was the way she stood. I would look at her. She was not one of what I would call where it's like a Beyonce, a great dancer. That wasn't her thing, dancing and singing. I mean, she danced some, but it was really more about singing and entertaining. But the way she stood, I'd watch her and she'd look at her, and the way she held her body when she stood there and stuff was so charismatic. It was like beautiful. And I started seeing that. So I remember going out the next day because I had the saxophone strap around my neck, and I said, well, I can't get myself to sing. So I went and bought a stretch guitar strap so I could put it on my neck so that I could put the thing around my body and I could actually stretch it down, and I could, kind of get my body to get some shape so I could create something to look at, right? And so she gave me that insight. And then with her hair, I had short hair at the time. And then I just realized how her hair was flying. And I said, I got to grow my hair because the light's the way they hit it. So I was always looking at it from a way of how to do that. And so I ended up doing that. And then I got called to go with Supertramp, and I got to test all that stuff out.
Yeah. Weren't you brought on with Pink Floyd part as a showman, as kind of...
that was the thing. Well, that was
some movement on stage.
That was the original thinking, right? And I don't know how well that went off with everybody.
Well,
I got beat up pretty bad.
By the band?
Well, it was interesting because every day the cameras would come out for the first couple songs, right?
The paparazzi,
for the newspapers and everything. So
songs.
I'd come out and I'd do my thing, and because I'd step on the thing and I had the big first solo, every day I was ending up in Pink Floyd, and there's a picture of Scott Page. Right, so everybody was like, okay, this is getting a little bit much. Here's a funny story. I actually came, this was nobody ever, we did a gig in Germany, and they had on the seats of the whole stadium, they had a magazine cover. It was it was a giveaway, right? They put them on every seat. And the cover was a picture of me, and it said Pink Floyd, right? All over. So this all over the stadium, this big solo picture of me. So I walked into the dressing room, and the wall was covered with everybody put that picture. It wasn't my fault. It just happened to be they let you shoot those first couple songs. I had the solo. I was out there, I had the hair, I was flowing, and I jump around a lot. So for some reason they would shoot me, and so it was sort of funny. But yeah.
So what was it like on tour? I mean, this is a major production.
Major, it was huge.
This is like at the time one of the biggest productions.
It was at the time biggest. Yeah. It was huge. I mean, I remember seeing on the the laminate passes there was roughly 160 people. Like this thing was massive, moving around. We had multiple stages and trucks carrying all that steel. It was
So what's it like for you as a musician? I mean, what's a daily routine?
For us, it was.
I know you're not putting up the rigs.
I got to say, Pink Floyd, I've been pretty lucky because all the tours I've had were always pretty good. Today it's a little different. It's not like it was back in those days. But they were always, it was almost
5-star.
5-star, as you can imagine. We flew around in a 727 stretch jet. That was
all the band members?
Yeah, the band. Just 20. There was 20, roughly with a few of the management and the band. It was roughly around 20 of us that would travel as a group. Everything else was, all the tour up and down and all that. And so we'd have the plane. So it was nice, 3 stewardesses, silver service meals. It was pretty decadent. It was pretty crazy. And we only really worked because that thing was so big to move around. We worked maybe 3 days a week, 4 days, maybe max. The rest of the time was a day off while the steel transferred the next, they had stages. The steels would flop. Right, and we were flopping.
It was like 2 sets of the exact same stage,
outdoors.
Right?
Those big stages, yeah.
But one set of gear, playing on one,
the other one's being
created at the next venue,
right? And that we ended up trading that with. We did it with Bowie, and
that would have been Glass Spiders, maybe tour.
gosh, I don't remember. Anyway, but so we flopped the steel. So it was it was a big deal. And, it was pretty cush. Everybody says, oh, it's so hard. And I said, no. Eating 5-star hotel. You stay at 5-star hotels and, eating, beautiful meals every day and having, several days off in the most beautiful cities in the world. And, it could be tough, but not that tough.
But some people probably didn't make the effort to get out of their hotel room.
Oh, no, I was a fanatic. I was like, the first thing I'd land, man, I'm out. And I'd go to all the museums. I'd do all that stuff. And I was interesting. I took that period of time, that 2 years, to study business. So that was my whole thing. And so Gilmour used to look over at me and go, what are you doing? I said, I'm just going to build me a business, Dave, after this. Yeah. He says, what are you doing? Because I'd be reading In Search of Excellence, Tom Peters books and, business model books and things like that to try to understand how it works. I said, I'm going to build me a business, Dave. And he kind of snicker. But I did, Dave.
What's the future? What for you?
Wow. Oh, for me?
The future's like pretty amazing, according to you.
I think we're going to have some interesting challenges. With AI coming on, at the end of the day, the biggest, I think, interesting thing that's happening with all of us is that, there is going to be a time relatively soon where only information you're going to get is basically information that'll be coming from some authority of some sort, whatever, because the algorithms, the robots are going to be sending you the information based on what you do. Because we've now, all these platforms now know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and they give you what you want.
It's going to be Blade Runner.
It's serious. Everybody's getting what they want, which is not necessarily a good thing because it's so fascinating to me. Just looking on the political scale, one side is getting one set of the story, and this side's getting the other story, and they've been able to kind of play it off of each other.
Who influences the influencer? Right. What is it like big oil?
I don't know if it's big oil. I think it's more the platforms now. If you own the communications channel, the pipeline, that's really That's really where it comes down to, because whoever owns, remember the newspapers used to be the ones, and now it's the communications, right? These platforms. It's a very interesting time. And again, the algorithms are going to win this one. Whoever owns the algorithms, you're seeing AIs coming on incredibly fast. It's, you look at Uber, your boss is an app. Yeah. You go to work for an app. You don't talk to anybody. You walk in, you log into your thing, and it tells you what you did, and here's what you're going to do, and here's what you have to do. And that's it. So that's the world we're moving into. And so automation is going to be taking over like crazy. Intelligence is being built into everything. We've even been like
except humans.
No, that's not true. They're putting chips now already.
Well,
really?
That's happening right now, already in Sweden. They've been testing. So that's the next thing. Singularity, it's called, where you kind of mesh with the.
That's scary.
So I have my theory that.
Do you have a chip in?
No chip in, but I have a theory that I think that we're seeing so much discourse here, whether the humans are going to be around here in another 100 years or so will be questionable, but I think it might be the plan.
Just fascinating.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you so much.
We have a bonus round, though.
Oh, okay, bonus
round.
This
is the speed round.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. What was your first concert you went to?
Gosh, I don't even remember, to be honhonest.
You can make it up. We can't verify it.
Lawerence Welk.
Lawerence Welk was, Lawerence Welk was actually the very first concert that I went to. I think I remember I saw, I wasn't the first one, but I saw Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, wow.
At I'm trying to remember, but it was in Los Angeles at what was that, Pan Pacific or one of those places?
Right.
Or was the Pan Pacific or what's the one in Santa Monica? Santa Monica Civic. Maybe it was there. It was one of those things years and years ago. Yeah. So that was a big one. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite concert you played at?
Oh, it would have to be, my favorite one has been that Venice gig because it was so extraordinary of a feat just in its general, but we've done great ones, Palace of Versailles and those, but Floyd was probably the biggest ones. I just played one in Budapest, which goes into my top 10, which I would say was the Ozora Festival, which is like Burning Man in the Eastern Bloc. Incredible, 50,000 people. We mashed Pink Floyd with an EDM guy with the It was one of the coolest gigs I've ever done. 50,000 people up on the hills. It was lit because you can imagine, like, just crazy. It was like the giant 50,000 person house party or something. It was really fun.
That's really cool.
Yep.
If you could make a documentary film, what rock subject would it be on?
The behavior of fans.
Beautiful.
Of course.
Because it's interesting because that's kind of how I shot. Because like I was saying, I shot 150 hours of Pink Floyd. And a big part of it was from the phenomena of the brand. Because we used to laugh about our tour pass. You'd go to a restaurant. Can I get? No, sorry, we're sold out. You hold that pass up. Yes, sir. No problem. Right in. It was like the key to the universe.
Exactly.
We called it. So, there you go.
How about other than Japan, your worst experience on tour?
Oh, that was, I can undeniably say I I've never mentioned this, but I got called to play with Duran Duran, and I flew to Australia.
Is that the end, or is there more to it?
I flew to Australia. It's actually the only job I ever left. That was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. Sorry, guys.
Probably doing Rio.
It was right at the height of the Fab Five, and for some reason, it just was not my cup of tea.
So did you play a gig?
I played. Well, I did all the rehearsals and stuff, and then I just got to the point where I said, this is time for me to move on. And I called the manager and I said, this is not working out. It was just after coming off of Supertramp, big family, groups of people, just incredible, thing, and then all of a sudden, it was just it was just not a great experience for me. Now, it could have been me. I don't know, but everybody does the best they can. That's my motto. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It just is. It is what it is.
It is. Shit happens and then you shit.
Yeah.
What band do you regret never seeing live?
Oh, seeing live. Who do I miss that I didn't see live? I never really thought about that question. Gosh, I don't know.
Who do you want to go see in concert?
There's some guy. I love Derek Trucks. I just love players. I love players. I'm more of than a big concert kind of guy. I like players, right? And so Derek, I think, is one of the great guitar players to come along. Again, talk about musical and lines. That solo he plays on Midnight in Harlem is incredible. It's just, I've listened to that thing so many times, I can't believe it. It's like listening to that For Once in Your Life solo of Stevie Wonder on that, on his harmonica when he was playing his chromatic harmonica.
Right.
You listen to that solo, that's like, music.
Beautiful.
Do you still play a lot of gigs, little gigs around town?
I try to play now at least 3 nights a week.
Okay.
I play as much as I possibly can, mainly because, like I said, it gives me a shot to connect with the source, and I feel better. It helps my business. And I'm trying to play a lot, and I've been practicing my guitar actually about 3 hours every day now, getting back into it. So it's more for the fun. I figure if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I've got to stay on top of it.
Where do you play so people can go check you out?
Oh, well, if you're in Los Angeles, I play a little gig in Los Angeles here every Monday night for the last 2 years called the Red Door in Toluca Lake. And it's a fun little jam thing that we do there. It's a great Monday night hang. We do these shows at Wisdom, LA. We've got one coming up on the 7th and 8th of November, which is the 360 virtual reality Pink Floyd show.
So how do people find out about that?
You can look at that. There's Wisdom LA. You can go to there. Eventbrite will have it also. The show we've been doing has been called Beyond the Wall. The one I think we're going to be doing this one coming up, which is going to be the Dark Side of the Dome.
Oh, wow.
Coming up, and that's going to have a little interesting twist. We have painters that painting live with us. And actors, kind of a fun thing. Yeah.
What about your own webpage and Instagram?
Everything I'm on is I am Scott Page. So I am Scott Page. You can go to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of me. I am Scott Page. Yep.
Great. And here's your prize, by the way.
Oh.
So you got an official Pink Floyd souvenir patch.
Whoa, look at that.
Look on the back. That's amazing. Taco Bell coupon?
Oh, my God.
I wonder if it still works.
Where did this come from?
Oh,
87.
I've got a lot of shit in my closet.
Oh, dude, I'm going to show you. When I show you what I'm going to, as soon as we get off here, I'm going to blow your mind with shit in the closet. That is great. I can't believe I have that. Thank you. That's really important.
Sure. Well, you won it.
I won it.
Sure. Yay. All right, Scotty.
87. That was our show.
You were there.
I was there.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't have one of these.
Well, that's the point.
Scott Page, buddy. So fascinating. I learned so much from you during this time. So thank you so much. So much that I will just take steps forward now and implement into my life. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, CW. And I'm Rita Wild. And it's a Rock and Roll Confessional.
And I'm happy to say that I'm here again to see you guys. I'm so happy.
So good to see you, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
So, Reeds.
Yo.
Another amazing show. I have to say you did a fantastic job with Scotty.
I love Scott, and I was just following with everything that he was talking about, how you need to go to school, you need to learn business if you're in this business.
Because music's a business now.
And so is radio. And
unless you're just sitting home and jamming by yourself and nothing else.
But still, you need to know the business. It influences so many different things.
Right.
Our special thanks today to Scott Page, allowing us to meet up at our special satellite studio in Silver Lake, California. You can check out Scott on Twitter and on Facebook at I Am Scott Page.
How do you spell that?
I am Scott Page.
Check out our show notes under each show title on our website, rockandrollconfessional.rocks, ROCKS. There you will find links to videos and other subjects that might have been brought up in today's show. You can see Scotty playing during the Pink Floyd tours and find out where he usually plays live on Monday nights. Plus, after Scotty won his prize in the bonus round, he shared a couple of photos with us of his entire Pink Floyd collection of stuff he got over the years. Scott was cool enough to allow us to share the photos with you. So go check out the loot under our show notes, under Scott's show page.
And also, are you going to have information on the page about the show that Scott has coming up during the NAMM? You already put it up there, I think.
It's up there. Plus, Scotty has got a fantastic Think EXP experience show that's coming up. It's actually January 16th. So depending on when you're listening to this, you can probably still buy tickets. It's called Dark Side of the NAMM, which, Rita, tell them what NAMM stands for.
NAMM is National Association of Music Merchants. That's the big organization from all over the world that takes over Anaheim this time every year.
The show will be at, I think, 6:30 in Anaheim on the 16th of January. That's 2020. It's going to have Scott Page. It's going to have Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction, Kenny Olson from Kid Rock, Tony Franklin from The Firm, Roberta Freeman from Pink Floyd, and a lot of other musicians. Plus,
the way that he was talking about this and just how you experience music, it's just like, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's like I think a laserium or a laser show on.
But you feel it.
Quaaludes.
Oh.
Plus, you never know with NAMM in town. You never know who's going to show up. So supposedly there's a big music party beforehand, but afterwards people may be coming over. So you don't know. And Bruce might even be there, Reeds. So
okay,
you should probably go just in case.
Good. I already said I would go.
Okay. Anyway,
we have some really great shows coming up in the future. Thanks, as always, to everyone that have been so kind by rating, subscribing, and writing reviews on iTunes.
Please check out our website at rockandrollconfessional.rocks and like us, share us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. And any words of wisdom, Rita, for the
Happy New Year.
Said that in the last one.
It doesn't hurt to say it the whole year. It's an important year.
Okay.
So let's all be positive.
I'm positive. We'll see everybody next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.